Hi, this is an opportunity for me to introduce myself. My name is Lisa Hussey, and I'm an associate professor here at SLIS. Many of you will actually have me for LIS 401, which is Introduction to Library and Information Science. And if you don't have me for that, there's a good chance that you will actually have me for 404, which is Principles of Management, or 407, which is Reference and Information Services, all of classes which I teach here at SLIS. To give you a little background about myself and to maybe give you some sense of what you're in for when you take a class with me, a couple of things. I have a very sarcastic sense of humor. Doesn't always translate to the written word, and I try to make sure that I identify that. But sometimes one thing I always say is that if it seems like I'm being overly mean or I'm saying something offensive, that's never the intention. So ask me. This is one of my big things. Ask me, ask me, ask me. A couple other things. My big area of teaching is actually management and related topics. So I also do a course on ethics. I was going to say, as I said, I teach reference. I kind of teach whatever they need me to in library land. I am a librarian by trade. My background is in academic libraries, a school library, and actually a special library that was a prison library, which is what everybody remembers about me. I've also worked in a graduate library and information science program, so I've kind of seen it from all sides, being a student, being staff, kind of involved in all of those kinds of things. That's why I always stress questions, because if I don't know the answer, I do know who to point you to, or I figure out who to point you to, and I can get you there. But I understand how it feels to be both on your side of it and also on my side of it. So please, 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 there's never any stupid question. Never, never, never. Usually you think it's obvious, and it turns out it's not. Other little interesting things about me. I have 2 dogs and 3 cats who I'm utterly obsessed with. Everybody here at SLIS knows about my animals, and if you're in one of my classes, you will too. They become part of my lectures at times. I'm also huge into sports. If you're not into sports, I'm sorry, but especially management, they make amazing examples, and it depends on the season. You'll hear about the Red Sox, you'll hear about the Bruins, you'll occasionally hear about football, but that usually isn't as big of a deal for me. For all that I love it, it's not quite the same examples. And even the people who hate sports discover that my examples are not bad when I'm using sports. So don't worry, you don't get overwhelmed with them. I'm also obsessed with pop culture, starting with Joss Whedon and all of his television shows and movies. If you haven't seen Firefly, Buffy, I strongly suggest you go and watch those. But any of them are excellent. Also, The Avengers, amazing movie. You can tell that Joss Whedon wrote the dialogue for it. And his kind of dry sense of humor is a sense of humor that I have. But pop culture comes into my lectures as well. I've actually done research on pop culture with one of my fellow professors here, Mary Jordan. We've talked about the image of librarians and archivists, which actually comes into a lot of the discussion in the classes, especially the 401 class. But then there's also, I watch an amazing amount of movies. I watch way more television than I ever ought to, than I think probably anybody ought to. But again, these are things that you'll miss for a while you're working in your graduate program, but you go back to, and you're happy that you can go back to. And in all of this time, I also read quite a bit, and a wide range of things. In addition to the readings I have to do, I love mysteries, science fiction, really obsessed with young adult novels. I wonder where these things were when I was the age to read them. So I'm reading them all now. Basically, in essence, there's a lot of things that I love to do. I love this profession, which is why I teach in it. So please, if you have questions about it, ask me. I don't care if you're in my class or not. I'm happy to answer questions about my experience, about the program, about things that you might be able to do with this. Because if there was a lot that I could do when I graduated, that has exploded. Technology was a part of what I did when I had my program. It has now become a huge part of what we do in LIS. So welcome to the program. I hope you enjoy your time here, and I look forward to seeing you in class.